And I have been muted this entire time. The beauty of live theater, y'all, and this virtual atmosphere that we are in. My apologies. Hello and welcome, everybody. My name is Farah Lawal Harris. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I'm the Artistic Director of Young Playwrights Theater in Washington, D.C. Thank you so much for joining us for this February 2021 post-workshop reading discussion with our Young Playwrights in Progress playwright, Savannah S. Miller. Hi, Savannah. We just concluded the reading of Act 1 of her play, The House. And I just want to start off by congratulating you, Savannah, on your beautiful writing and your beautiful work and commitment to this program. I'd also like to thank our talented ensemble of actors. We had Felipe Cabezas, Omar Cruz, Ruth Elizabeth Diaz, Suzanne Edgar, and Jack Novak, as well as our video editor, Anthony Amos. Young Playwrights in Progress is a season-long script development program that we just piloted this season. And in this program, I work alongside early career playwrights to develop and workshop their original full-length plays. Savannah and I have been meeting monthly since August 2020 to develop her play, The House. And for those of you who are viewing this discussion live, we will be taking questions and feedback about this virtual workshop reading of Act 1 of The House, which just premiered here on YouTube. You can enter your feedback and your questions in the live chat section of YouTube, and we'll do our best to address all of them. If you missed the virtual workshop reading, you can find the link for it in the description box below. So Savannah, again, congratulations. I just have to say it's been such a pleasure working with you since August on this play, and I love it more and more. And just with every draft that you've done, I fall more and more in love with the characters and the story. Can you introduce yourself to our viewing audience?
Sure, and thank you. I'm Savannah S. Miller. I'm a current senior at Dartmouth College. I use she, her pronouns, and I am a theater major in English and Russian double minor. I'm especially interested in playwriting, but then also arts education. And this has been a wonderful experience on so many levels.
Awesome, I concur. So before we take questions from the live audience, I just want to start off by asking you a question. What inspired you to write this piece?
Sure. So I honestly think the inspiration for this piece probably came when I was about 7 years old. I was sitting in a room with my great-grandfather who was writing in this like little composition notebook you might buy at like any Walmart, Target. And I asked what he was writing, and he said he was writing his love story. He was writing about his wife, Lydia, who unfortunately had passed away about a year before, how they'd met in Puerto Rico when he was stationed there during World War II. And I just remember that it's a memory and a moment that has always stuck with me for many, many reasons. I think the big reason is I always grapple with this thought that how amazing of a life do you have to have lived for someone after you're gone to write an entire notebook dedicated to all their memories of you? What does that life look like? And I sat with that until I was about 18 years old. And then I wrote this play, and it's lived for 3 years, but I think it's done most of its maturing. It's done a lot of its maturing in the last couple months.
That's so beautiful. And I think that's such a beautiful way to honor your family and that story, and to give life to that memory that you have. And I think that's one incredible thing about playwriting, is that we have the ability to do that. I want to address some of the comments that we've gotten in. Jolene Neighbors says, incredibly deep and thoughtful piece. Excellent job. And Sid Neighbors says, love it. Great job. Thank you, Jolene and Sid, for encouraging Savannah. I definitely agree. I'm wondering, Savannah, you mentioned that, you've been developing this play over the past few months. How has your participation in the Young Playwrights in Progress program influenced the drafts of your play from what you had when you first applied for the program?
Yeah, well, when I first applied, it was a one act. It was my rough estimate would have been probably around 60 minutes, an hour play. And going through this process made me realize that there's more story here, and it's okay to explore that story. And in fact, it would probably be preferred. So the biggest thing is that it's gotten longer, and I think it's become more well-rounded. And I feel like my characters are much more well-rounded too, which was something I came into this process really eager to look at. my characters. So I like I said, I think it's grown tremendously.
Awesome. I want to encourage our audience that if you have any feedback or questions for Savannah, please don't be shy. You can put it in the comment section. So Savannah, what or who inspires you as a playwright?
Yeah, that's a very big question. If I'm like picking some of my favorite playwrights, Paula Vogel is my absolute favorite. I also really like the work of Will Arbery. I've seen a couple of his things, and I think his way with words and dialogue is pretty amazing. I think in general, though, I like to think that I'm inspired by the people closest to me, just because I feel like I kind of have like an insider look at their lives and at my life, and I can find ways to like put that on screen. It's just really cool. So yeah, that's a brief answer.
Thank you for that. I see another comment from Ann Eigenman. Hi, Ann. Ann is one of YPT's former board members. Ann says, wow, what an opening act. Congratulations, Savannah. I really like the way you layered your characters' stories, and I also liked your use of moments. I can't wait to see what comes next in Act 2. Thank you, Ann, for that. And I'm wondering, Savannah, do you mind delving into the use of moments rather than scenes and where that came from?
Yeah, so I remember when I was dividing it up, originally it wasn't divided into scenes or moments at all. It was just, it was the full length. And then I think it got broken into 2 acts, but then it needed to be broken up a little bit more. And I remember scenes just didn't feel right. It felt a little distant is the word that's coming to mind. And I remember settling on like memories or moments, and that made it feel much closer to me. And I thought that like that would also convey to anyone reading the script that these should be treated like intimate family moments. So that was kind of where that came from.
Awesome. So, you know, we're in the age of virtual theater, and, you know, in light of the COVID-19 pandemic. And initially, when I thought up this program, everything was supposed to occur live. This was supposed to be a live workshop reading at YPT Studio in DC. And I'm wondering, you know, through experiencing your play in a virtual format, especially since you've already workshopped this play at Dartmouth before, did seeing it virtually change how you viewed your work in any way?
Yeah, I definitely think it has. I think it's very easy to focus on like what we've lost in theater, but what I think is really cool is that now that everything's virtual, we have the ability to kind of like connect all over. Like I know I'm in New Hampshire right now and watching this play that was recorded by actors in DC, which is much closer to my home in Virginia. So I think that just being able to have this experience in general, I wouldn't have been able to have it if it weren't for the pandemic, if it wasn't virtual. So in a way, it's worked out. It's been one pro. It's been a rough year, but this has been a good silver lining.
That's awesome to hear. Thank you. Do you have any questions for the live audience?
Sure. I'd love to know if there were any moments or lines that felt confusing, or maybe any character points that felt disingenuous, maybe.
Yeah, while we give the audience time to come up with their responses to that question, I wonder, are there any moments that stick out to you as your favorite in the play, or any writing moments that you feel especially proud of?
In Act 1 or in all of them?
Specifically Act 1, since they haven't had the pleasure of seeing Act 2 yet.
Yeah, I think moment 8 when Lydia is talking to Francesca and like has that moment of what if. I remember when I wrote this play a few years ago, I didn't feel like I was prepared to write a scene like that, and so I purposefully left it out. And writing it finally, like it felt like something that was supposed to be there all along. Like it felt like a missing piece in a puzzle. And so that was really meaningful for me to write, although it took me so long to write 1.5 pages of material because I knew it had to be right. So yeah, I think that's probably one of my favorite moments.
Yeah, mine too. In this play, there's a lot of talk about loss, but we don't actually get to see the characters actively grieve, except for that moment when Lydia is talking about the loss of Francesca. So I agree with you that scene is different and it's powerful, and that like it's not dealing with the business of what happens after a family member passes away, but just like in real time, what's actually occurring. So yeah, I congratulate you on writing that scene so carefully. So yeah, I'm wondering from the audience, anything else that you have? And also a question I have for the audience is, what are you all excited to find out? Whose stories did you feel attached to? One thing that was interesting for me in the early drafts is I felt like I was having such a hard time identifying with Daniel. And through your multiple drafts, because I believe, is this your fourth draft now? Third or fourth?
Yeah, I think it's fourth.
Yeah, that even though I don't agree with him, I understand what he's saying. And I understand that if someone thinks like he does or believes those things, that they operate in a certain way. So yeah, I'm wondering for anybody else, was there anyone that you identified with? Yeah. And if the audience is shy, that's perfectly fine. We're just grateful that you're here to experience this with us. And I also want to just inform people at this time too that Act 2 happens tomorrow. Oh, I see a comment. So Sid Neighbor says, anxious to find out if or how the brothers reconcile. Yeah, that's something to definitely look forward to tomorrow, Sid. Because that definitely does come to a conclusion in Act 2. Thank you, Sid. Yeah, so as I was mentioning, we have Act 2 premiering tomorrow, February 4th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. The runtime is a little bit shorter than Act 1, but yeah, I hope that everyone who is able to tune in this evening is able to come tomorrow just to see how the play concludes. If you're not able to make it tomorrow, it'll still be on YPT's YouTube channel, so please check it out. And I also encourage people to continue the conversation beyond tonight. If anything occurs to you that you didn't get to mention right now, feel free to leave a comment on YouTube. So since the videos will still be there, you can make a comment either under the performance or under this live Q&A discussion. And that way, Savannah has time to actually digest what's being said about her play. But yeah, if that's all that folks have to say, I just want to thank you all so much for tuning in. Please check us out tomorrow evening. We'll be here and there will be a live conversation again. Also, if you'd like to find out more about Young Playwrights Theater, or specifically the Young Playwrights in Progress program, which will be taking applications this spring coming soon. So if you're interested in an intensive one-on-one script development program where you get to develop multiple workshops of a play, even if you've never written a play before and it's your first play, I encourage you to follow YPT so that you could know when the application process begins, because personally, it's been such an enriching experience, as artistic director, to work with playwrights, and working with you, Savannah, has been one of my favorite parts of my job. So thank you for your hard work and for your diligence and for sharing your talents with us. I can't wait to talk to you again tomorrow evening, and I can't wait to see just what happens, in the next draft. Oh, and I don't want to ignore, so Suzanne Edgar, our actress who played the buyer, says, great work, Savannah. I'm excited to see the rest of it tomorrow night. Thank you, Suzanne. And thank you for your talent and lending it to Savannah's play. So Savannah, do you have any parting words for our audience?
Just thank y'all so much. And if you have any thoughts, I want to hear them all. And I hope you can tune in tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you all. We hope that you stay safe and well. And I look forward to seeing some of y'all tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.